Hi, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel, MD, General Physician. Today we'll be discussing on one of the short topic which is very frequently asked to you in your exam, that is Buerger's disease or TAO. TAO means thromboangiitis obliterans. So thromboangiitis obliterans or Buerger disease is a non-atherosclerotic, very important. It is not because of atherosclerosis. Segmental inflammatory vaso-occlusive disease. Usually it will affect small blood vessels and medium sized blood vessels, including even vein also, because vein is never involved by atherosclerosis. So one of the structure which is involved in TAO or Buerger's is also vein, mainly of upper extremity and lower extremity. It is very common in male between the age of 20 to 45 years. So male it is very common and younger age group. Very important history of tobacco use, particularly smoking. The person will come to you with distal part of the extremities being involved, and that will produce ischemia, and pulse will be nearly absent. So proximal blood vessel will have occlusion, so proximal pulse will be nearly absent, and there is what is being called as migratory superficial thrombophlebitis. There is impaired distal pulses, exclusion of, you have to exclude certain disease to label a person is having TAO, that is autoimmune disease like SLE, periarteritis nodosa, RA, hypercoagulable stage, diabetes mellitus, etc. After excluding all this, if you get these findings, then you can label that as TAO or Buerger's disease. So etiology is quite common. We usually say tobacco use, inherited factors, and there is some immune response. By and large, still it is called unknown. So exact etiology is not known, but there are some external factors like tobacco, cold or humid weather, chronic trauma, infections. There are some internal factors, that is immune dysfunction, immunological dysfunctions, and we have already told you exposure to tobacco is almost most common for initiation as well as progression of the disease. So exact etiology is not known, but it is associated with cigarette smoking, more common in male, and there is some hormonal factor which is responsible. It is not so common in female. It is common in poor socioeconomic group as well as poor hygiene. There can be history of cold injury or repeated fungal infections. There is also possibility of hypercoagulated stage where there is a raised fibrinogen level and platelet count is abnormal. There is genetic factor which is suggested by familial predisposition. It is common with HLA-A9 and HLA-B5. It is not common in blacks. There is a high incidence in Jews. There is also possibility of autoimmune autonomic overactivity because there is a severe peripheral vasospasm and hyperhidrosis, quite common along with Buerger's disease. As far as immune mechanism is concerned, there are some autoimmune factors. Antibody to collagens are positive. Lymphocyte mediated sensitivity is seen to collagens, and there is also antibody present to rickettsial organism which is present. So by and large, the most common factor which is a predisposing factor is smoking, which is almost accounting for 99.9%, means almost it is present in all. Another factor which may be responsible is hypertension, diabetes and hyperlipidemia. We already told you male to female ratio is 3:1. Age between 20 to 45. It is more common in Israel, Japan and in India. And smoking is the most common factor, and very frequently they require amputation within a short period, that is 7.6 years. Average is 7.6 years. As far as pathophysiology is concerned, exact etiology is not known, but say probably because of smoking and other factors. There is an acute inflammation and thrombosis of the veins of hands and feet. There is vasculitis, there is decreased blood supply to skin, and it may end up with gangrene formation. First, it begins with artery and then with vein, and it involves from distal to proximal. It is a segmental disease. There is active stage, but it is a non-suppurative inflammation. In end stage, there is an intraluminal thrombosis, progressively organizes, there is a new capillary formation and there is a vascular fibrosis. And because of occlusion, you get ischemic changes and it can end up with gangrene. Basically, it is a non-atherosclerotic segmental inflammatory disease involving small arteries and medium-sized arteries, and there are skip lesions. It is different from other vasculitis, means it spares the blood vessel wall. ESR and CRP are normal. Autoantibodies are negative. So there is an acute phase, intermediate phase, chronic phase. It involves artery and vein. In acute phase, there is an inflammation involving all layer of vessels with occlusive thrombosis, microabscesses, multinucleated giant cells are seen in that involvement. In intermediate stage, there is an organization of occlusive thrombus. There is prominent inflammation which infiltrates within the thrombus. And in the chronic stages, there is an extensive recanalization, adventitial and perivascular fibrosis. Now this particular is a segmental in distribution. Particular segment of the artery or vein is involved. There are skip areas. It will rarely involve cerebral blood vessel, coronary, renal artery or mesenteric vessel, which are very rarely involved. While this blood vessel, cerebral, coronary, renal vessel can be involved by atherosclerosis. It is non-necrotizing involvement of the vessel wall, that is vasculitis, which is very common in SLE and collagen disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, periarthritis nodosa, etc. If we go through the clinical features, in first stage there is a local ischemia, in second stage there is a nutritional ischemic status, and in third stage the person will end up with a necrotic stage, or we call as person will end up with gangrene. So because of ischemia, person will complain of pain and weakness in legs and feet. Also involvement of the upper limb arteries will produce pain in arms and hands. There will be little swelling in the feet and hands. Finger and toes that turns pale when exposed to cold. There will be open sores on fingers and toes. Skin changes will be there. There will be formation of ulcers on hands and feet. The pain will typically begin in the extremities but may radiate towards the central part of the body. Presence of distal extremity ischemia indicated by claudication, pain at rest, ischemic ulcers and gangrene. Because of ischemia, person can complain of paresthesia like tingling, numbness of hands and feet. So usually the extremities, the distal part will usually be cold, skin will be pale, you may see cyanosis, person will have paresthesia, pain, intermittent claudication. There will be changes in the skin because of nutritional dysfunction. Distal pulse will be low volume or nearly absent. In the presence of normal proximal pulse, say like femoral will be palpable, but distal pulse like dorsalis pedis, posterior tibial may be absent. There will be migratory superficial thrombophlebitis. There will be painful ulcer or might end with a frank gangrene. You can see here the changes. These are skin changes. Classical presentation usually in a young male smoker with an onset between the age or before the age of 40 to 45. There will be ischemic changes in the distal part involving small arteries, and it may also involve veins. Intermittent claudication is very common. Most common symptoms are intermittent claudication, rest pain. Ischemic ulcers are common in 76% of the group of people. Thrombophlebitis may be seen in only 38%. Paresthesia will be common almost up to 70%. And you might have an abnormal Allen test in 63%. Initial site of claudication is in the arch of the foot. Usually both limbs are involved. Angiographic findings will be not common in an asymptomatic patient. Upper extremity involvement has to be distinguished from atherosclerotic involvement. Usually there are some criteria which are divided like major criteria and minor criteria. In major criteria, onset of distal extremity ischemic symptoms before the age of 45, because atherosclerosis is more common in old age group. History of tobacco abuse, undiseased artery proximal to brachial and popliteal. So usually femoral is normal, even say subclavian axillary will be normal. Documentation of distal occlusive disease by plethysmography. Exclusion of proximal embolic phenomena or traumatic injury or autoimmune disorders like SLE, periarthritis nodosa, rheumatoid arthritis, hypercoagulable stage, and atherosclerosis. So after exclusion of all this, if these are not present, it is also considered as a major criteria. In minor criteria, migratory superficial phlebitis, Raynaud syndrome, upper extremity involvement, and in-step claudication. There are no specific typical laboratory abnormalities. Usually you will have enlarged red tender cord-like veins which may be palpable. There will be pain and tenderness of the involved fingertips and toes. Tingling numbness will be present in distal part of the limbs. You might see the skin ulcer or gangrene like this. You can see this typical, very, very typical. You can see ulceration. You can see gangrene here. You can see the skin color changes. There will be discoloration. Usually both limbs are involved. Two or more limbs may be affected, that is lower limb and upper limb. Pain may increase with activity, that is we call claudication, such as walking, and decrease with rest. So it is partially relieved by rest. Pulse will be decreased or absent, means low volume or absent in the affected extremities. Distal pulse will be affected. Symptom will worsen with exposure to cold or even with emotional stress. Claudication distance and claudication time will shorten. Skin temperature is usually cold. Burger test and tension relief test will be positive. Almost the ratio male to female is almost 3 is to or 4 is to 1. Early age group less than 40 to 45. History of smoking. Lower limb more involved as compared to upper limb. Migratory superficial phlebitis. Ischemic area which will show you ischemic changes, skin changes, ulceration and even sometime gangrene. Pain will be excruciating, increased by cold. Claudication will be very common involving the foot first, that is arch. Raynaud's phenomena may be seen. And remissions on abstinence and exacerbation with restarting. Intermittent claudication will be followed by rest pain, color changes, trophic changes, and later on ulceration and gangrene may be seen in distal part and then may be involving the entire foot and may require amputations. So color changes, temperature, cold, clammy extremities. Acute arterial occlusion may be present in some of the cases. Pulse will be low volume or nearly absent. Distal pulse will be more involved. Absence of radial, ulnar, digital pulses. Loss of hair, skin atrophy. Sorry. Atrophy of the foot muscles. Absence of distal pulses. Brittle nails, blanching on elevation and rubor on dependency. Moisture sensation reduced, bruit may be audible on the involved vessel. Venous refilling of the nail will be affected. Ankle brachial index will be also affected. It will be abnormal. It will be less than 1. Allen test may be positive. Very typical because of involvement of the radial or ulnar. Ankle brachial index will be less. In normal it will be 1. If the person is having claudication, it will be less than 1 up to 0.5. And if there are early gangrenous changes, it may be even less than 0.5. Palpation and auscultation of all pulses should be done. You should try to rule out for aortic aneurysms. CVS may show cardiac arrhythmia, valvular means you should rule out all these conditions. Arrhythmias like atrial flutter fibrillation, we can produce thromboembolism. Valvular heart disease, congenital heart disease should be ruled out. In advanced cases, you might see edema, superficial phlebitis, ulceration and gangrene. In spite of smoking also, disease cannot reverse back. Usually most of the patient cannot stop smoking and they end up with multiple amputation. Very, very rarely you can have involvement of mesenteric and cerebral blood vessels. Absolutely rare. There is one test called as a Burger's test, which is for the assessment of vascular involvement. In a normal person, the leg can be kept at 90-degree angle without appearance of any pallor. But if there is a pallor at 20 degree, indicates severe ischemia, which is in favor of involvement of a blood vessels, and this is called Burger's test. So as you elevate, if the pallor appears at 20-degree elevation, it indicates severe ischemia. You will have ulceration, gangrene, very, very common. Doppler examination of blood vessels will show you that decreased blood flow. And on arteriography, you will see corkscrew collaterals. It is very typical. Difference between atherosclerosis and Berger. Atherosclerosis is more common after the age of 40, while this is before the age of 40. There are other risk factors like hyperlipidemia, diabetes, hypertension, sedentary lifestyles, obesity, etc. While in Berger's, the most common risk factor is smoking. In atherosclerosis, upper extremities is rarely involved, while in Berger's, both are involved, upper as well as lower extremity. Proximal vessels involvement in atherosclerosis is very, very high, while in Berger's, distals are more commonly involved, proximal is rarely involved. Pulse examination, you will have decreased pulse, proximal will be involved, and distal pulse will be also weak and may be absent. While proximal are preserved, distal pulse are absent. Superficial thrombophlebitis will be more commonly seen in a Berger's disease. It will never be seen in case of atherosclerosis because you don't come across thrombophlebitis in atherosclerosis. As far as blood test is concerned, you require a blood test to rule out lupus, coagulative disorders, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, etc. And also to rule out scleroderma, you do antibody test. Ankle brachial index will be helpful to find out the severity of involvement. Plethysmography will be very, very helpful, and that is called photoplethysmography. Leg elevation test, or we call as a Berger's test. There is one test called as a rubber dependency test. Allen test will be also helpful to find out the involvement of the upper limb. This will be for upper limb. Allen test will be for upper limb involvement. So history taking, physical examination, ultrasound, particularly including color duplex, contrast angiography, and plethysmography will be very, very helpful to find out the amount of arterial involvement, the segment of arterial involvement, etc. So you will see a collateral corkscrew collateral appearance. These are corkscrew collateral appearance, very characteristic. You can see the involvement of the blood vessels. You can see there is hardly any circulation here. That is suggestive of distal blood vessel involvement. You will have to differentiate from other arterial involvement like syphilis, tuberculosis, non-infective involvement like collagen, Wegener's, Kawasaki, Berger's disease, from Raynaud's and Takayusu, etc. You will have to differentiate from other disorders which involves the artery. As far as management is concerned, always it is called 5A, that is ask, advise, assess, assist, and arrange for the mode of treatment what you are going to give. Most important part is to stop smoking and give anti-nicotine replacement drugs. There are nasal spray which are available, there are some drugs which are available, and now there are what we call tablets which are available containing nicotine, and then you can go for psychotherapy. As far as medication is concerned, there are a lot of different modes of medication which are available. Most important, you can use vasodilator, antiplatelet drugs, and anticoagulants. Antibiotics is required if there is an infection, secondary bacterial infection of infected ulcer. Hypertension, so oxygen treatment may be helpful. It is called hyperbaric oxygen. Some they do try Chinese traditional treatment. Surgical treatment may be required in a very late stage. Usually does not give a very good results like lumbar sympathectomy. They require what we call as a reconstructive procedure like bypass grafting or thrombectomy or arteriovenous transfer omental transfer, and good number of times they end up with an amputation because of gangrene and non-healing ulcer. So most important part, stop smoking. You can try prostaglandins, calcium channel blockers, pentoxifylline, temporarily sympathectomy, thrombolytic therapy, and usually they end up with surgical revascularization or amputations. So there are some advice which we have to give, that avoid sitting, standing in one position for a long period. Avoid condition that reduces circulation to the extremities. Do not walk on a barefoot to avoid injury. Do not wear the tight shocks or any particular material which can restrict the blood flow. Report. Hello. हाँ 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 कसो कसो हाँ 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 ચોક્કસ હા ચાલે 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 ત્યાં બીજે કંઈ કરાવી લો વાંધો નહીં હા 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 ચાલો હા હા gentle massage, warmness to increase the circulation. Avoid condition that reduces circulation to the extremities. Report all injury to the physician for appropriate treatment to avoid infection and amputations. Analgesic may be helpful when the person is having a severe pain. Peripheral and sympathetic nerve block can be utilized. Sympathectomy can be utilized. Anticoagulation, etc. may be of help. All these are being tried. Inositol, steroid, prostaglandins, etc. are tried. Usually they end up with an operative treatment like amputation once the gangrene sets in. This is the most common thing what they end up with. So sympathectomy and arterectomy, then bypass grafting, etc. are all tried. Prevention is always better, and in prevention the most important part is cessation of smoking, dietary modification, weight reduction, etc. should be put into practice. Most common complication is embolization, gangrene, ulcer formation, and finally they end up with amputation. There is muscle atrophy and person will have a weakness in the lower limb. There will be even sensory and motor impairment. You can see here, in spite of amputation, still person do not stop smoking. Absolutely odd thing. So I thank you all. I know that your time is valuable. I appreciate that you have spent some time with me. This is one of the short note which is very frequently asked. Once in a while you will come across this particular disease. It is quite common in India because smoking is very common in India. So if you pay attention, you may be able to pick up such patients. And if you pick up in the early stages, you can prevent complications like gangrene and amputations. So I end my lecture here. We'll meet you in next lecture.